You guys good?
Yeah. Great, Ethan.
Let's do it. Train's moving.
Choo, choo.
All right, here we go. Welcome to the H on H, 605 and the 601, the new Croc Park. Welcome to the Black Bear. Welcome to the Den. Welcome to the Snug. Doug Reiser.
Yes.
Karis Carter.
Welcome.
Ashley Mae King. I'm Rosie. We are the JuJuBeez. On the Stick, a 1993 film directed by Tony Scott. Maybe you've heard of it. True Romance.
Yeah, so this is one of the few Tarantino written flicks that he did not direct himself, which I thought was interesting. Production overlapped with Reservoir Dogs, which he was committed to, so Tony Scott took this one on.
If you've seen this film, you know, maybe you're a true romance lover, you're a true romance enthusiast, hang out with us. I think you're going to like this discussion. If you haven't seen the film, we're not going to spoil anything for you, don't worry. But we are going to discuss it. Then we're going to take a score, and based on that score, among the four of us, we're going to make a recommendation for you. Cool?
Perfect.
I first saw True Romance mid to late 90s, came out in 93. I didn't see it when it came out, didn't see it in the theater, but did see it sometime after. And to sort of go back and revisit it this week and watch it again for this discussion, it was, you know, obviously I have more perspective on the whole thing than I did when I first saw it. And I think before I even hit play to watch this again, you know, I just sort of mentally beheld the marrying of these artistic legends, really. You think about the ensemble cast, you know, writer Quentin Tarantino, director Tony Scott. It's, whether you're a fan of this movie or not, it is dynamic, and it's got a lot of moving parts. And for what we do here, which is, you know, we watch movies and then we talk about them, it's kind of a gift. So I think whatever you think of it, it's dynamic. So we'll get to my thoughts later on this, but let's start with someone who I believe never saw this film until this week.
No.
Right?
Yeah, I had not.
So, Ashley Mae King, what did you like about this film? What did you love about this film? What not so much? True Romance.
Yeah, so going into this, I had no idea what to expect. I did really like the cinematography was so well done. There was this really interesting dichotomy between these like wide aesthetic shots and these really claustrophobic feeling close-ups. It created like, it was so interesting. And then that was also echoed in the portrayal of the two different settings, the two cities that this film takes place in. Yeah, I thought the cinematography was very well handled. The dialogue, loved the pace. I loved the cadence of it. Going into this, I did not know it was a Tarantino written script, but I was able to guess it like 10 minutes in because, you know, it has his signature all over it. As for what I loved, okay, the totally random ghost of Elvis, loved that, wasn't expecting it, weird choice, and I'm here for it. I also think Christian Slater is delivering an amazing performance. It's kind of what we expect for him, this kind of oddball outcast character. It's definitely his wheelhouse, but he's so good at it. I think he's great. I think Patricia Arquette is so endearing. Her character I loved so much. Yeah, I think that they're both giving so much to their performances that I really loved that. As for what I didn't like, unfortunately, it's kind of everything else. Watching this movie for me was kind of like playing problematic bingo. I found it to be homophobic, transphobic, racist, misogynistic. It really hinges on this manic pixie dream girl trope, albeit with more violence and slurs. But everything, even as the character Clarence states, everything that he likes in Alabama are reflections of his own interest. Oh, you listen to the same music and you like the same movies? I'm in love with you. I'm sorry, that's just not very realistic. And I felt like that the character of Alabama could have been given a little bit more agency beyond that. Gary Oldman's character I found to be really cringe. And beyond the parts that I found problematic, to look at it solely as a film, I think the pace is a bit of a mess. It started at such a rush, I had to make sure I hadn't skipped ahead. And then I felt like it lulls a little bit in the middle for it to resolve, no spoilers, in what is a very chaotic scene, but lasts it's so short in scope of like all this building and building and building and all this tension, and then all of a sudden it's over, and then the ending, I didn't feel resolved for all of the tension that had built this whole time. So to look at it from just a filmmaking perspective, I thought the pace left a little to be desired. So unfortunately, I didn't really care for it, but I was entertained all the same.
Sure. Interesting. Really, really interesting. All right, Doug, what'd you like about this film? What'd you love about this film?
There's a lot I like.
And what not so much?
There's a lot I like, a lot I love, and there's a few I dislike. So I'm going to come on a different angle from you. What I love about this film is Quentin Tarantino, when he wrote this film, this is really based loosely, I wouldn't say it's an autobiographical take on himself, but Clarence, he wrote as him. Now, if you know a lot about Quentin, I've read some of his biography a little bit. He did spend a lot of time in a broken home. Sort of, they call it white trash, which you see references to that in the film.
Sure, yeah.
Right? And he based Clarence on himself. Clarence is this little nerdy little dude in a comic book store, and he's running the shop. He's got nothing going on in his life, and he goes to the movies, and he spends time there alone. Quentin did the same thing. I thought that was very, very evident. I thought that was bold of him to do that as a new writer in film, to really shed light on who he really is. Also, for him to bring Elvis into the equation as the lonely, Elvis is Elvis. Elvis was a lonely lover, right? He was lonely, and he sings about that. Kung Fu is something else I liked that he incorporated. And you're probably thinking, why did you bring Kung Fu into this mix? Like, what is that? He watched Kung Fu. And back then, white trash families, considered by Quentin, as he wrote this, they watched Kung Fu because that was their escape from their shitty life, basically, is what he did. So that was really clear and evident, and I thought that was awesome. So I saw Clarence as Quentin in the theater.
Sure.
And now we bring into the fantasy love interest of Alabama, right? All of a sudden she comes in. That's his fantasy. This is kind of his world. So I liked how he infused the Kung Fu movies. Elvis actually was a martial artist, so he infused his music and his martial art capabilities and interests. So that all came in, and then the white trash aspect, and Alabama, she came from Florida. She had no family. She had no support. She was just a wandering, philandering woman, and he was kind of lost as well. What I love about it is the way he brought it all together. And I love the way Elvis, the subconscious, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Val Kilmer.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, who's Val Kilmer?
Is that him?
Yeah, girl.
So
I had no
it's
idea.
his voice, but you know what he did was he brought that character into this like little nerdy, just sort of, I can't really, I'm just kind of like this kind of dude.
Not going to show myself, but I'm here.
I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna protect this woman that I just met, fell in love with, right?
Uh-huh.
One night stand type thing. They're looking for each other. I fell in love. It was so organic and so full of
lots of stuff.
Romance.
That
would be it.
Two lost souls who found each other. So that is what I feel was so successful. The one thing, and it brought it all together, aside from all, I love Gary Oldman's character. I love, Brad Pitt was awesome. You can just go, the list goes on. The writing was just brilliant. And I love this kind of movie, top notch. The one thing I didn't like was Clarence's dad getting killed. I really did not like that. It really broke my heart because when he arrived to his dad's trailer with this girl that he's in love with, and everybody saw her as this like call girl, she's a prostitute, she's just slut, whatever. They were really in love. I mean, they were truly, truly in love. So that hit my heart, and that to me was probably the one thing I did not like about it, that he got to suffer as a result. One of the best scenes in the film.
Definitely.
No doubt.
You know, I was thinking about that scene you're talking about, and he asks for the Chesterfield. I don't know what the writing or the direct, I don't know what the real intentions were, but it seems like asking for the Chesterfield is he knows his fate. He knows this
For
ain't,
sure.
I'm not getting out of here alive. I'm going to have a
Absolutely.
cigarette. So
Yeah.
pretty sweet scene. Karis, what'd you like about this film? What'd you love about this film? What not so much?
This film is incredible. So, I would actually start with what did I not like about this film. I attempted to watch it with my 2-year-old son.
Oh, no.
And I found myself closing his eyes and having to put my hands in front of his face for a lot of it. It is Quentin Tarantino, so there's that. But everything else I absolutely loved, and I think we've all touched on it here. The storytelling is absolutely impeccable. The research and history. It doesn't matter who you are and what your interests are. There's going to be something for you to jive in this film, even down to the specifics of the scene that we've been talking about, right? With Clarence's dad, with Christopher Walken's character. His dog's name is was a general for Hitler. Right? So I don't know if anybody's made that connection, but yeah, the dog's name is this general. So, so this whole that is one of the juiciest scenes, and I think part of his death was this symbol of this racism and a life that represented Clarence. That part of Clarence, that judgment, that white trash, that white supremacy that he came from, that he was using this love to heal, this relationship to heal. And so his dad had to die in this film. And he did it with such, he drove it in.
It's a very
to Christopher
scene.
Walken's character. He's like, wow, I know what you came from. And I'm gonna dig into your character, and I'm gonna get you so mad at me that you're gonna want me so bad. Because he, of course, as you said, he already knew he was going. And then of course to the music, the soundtrack. Hans Zimmerman, is that his name?
Brilliant.
Right? Yeah, he's amazing. He's done over 150 songs for films, or maybe over 150 films, and add it all up. But this song that he played for the theme of this, it was on like this mallet wood xylophone type instrument. Sorry about that. And it just really brought home the ache that there is for this unabashed, unapologetic love, this drive. Like it's like the first love, that you have, and you're willing to do anything for it. And so, I think as a theme, the film definitely succeeded in its goal. And then there's lots to appreciate within the film, storytelling, history, it's all packed in there. It's juicy, it's thick, it's full, no matter how you look at it. So yeah, I loved it. Thought it was great. Rosie,
Cool.
What'd you like? What'd you love? No, what? Not so much.
I liked the soundtrack. There are some well-placed tunes in this film, and there's really something deep in the Charles Nettie's Wounded Bird, where it's placed, relatively early in the film, and I think helping supplant this film's romantic roots. I also liked how music and dialogue are kind of brought together in the phone booth scene with Clarence and the Big Bopper kind of becoming one.
And Clarence and Alabama becoming one.
And Clarence and Alabama becoming
Hello,
one.
babe.
Hello. I like the style, though.
Hello.
It's an example of yet another subtle touch used to keep this movie moving forward the way it does, and it moves forward. What I loved can be summed up in one person, Patricia Arquette. Mm-hmm. You know, I was talking about new perspectives earlier, and again, I think when I revisit all of this, I'm fascinated by the fact that you have this ensemble cast of absolute heavyweights. And, you know, for the most part, a pretty male-dominated cast. You know, you got Chris Walken, Dennis Hopper, Brad Pitt, Sam Jackson, Gary Oldman, Christian Slater. You know, you got Tarantino writing it. You got Tony Scott directing it. I mean, this film is up there. It's high. But then this actress comes in and somehow elevates this film even higher. And I also think that she is the least expendable of this cast. And by the way, I think that this was cast to perfection. Still, her performance, her rawness, the honesty, I think when you consider the great American film performances, this has to be on that list. And I don't just mean on the list, I mean at the top of it. So I also loved the ending. I love good endings. And to me, this is the granddaddy of great endings. I think we kind of feel differently. I think to me, it satisfied everything that I wanted it to. I mean, it was epic, and I don't want to spoil anything, but if you like good endings, in my opinion, it's big. It's
I
good.
agree.
It's a
Solid
good
ending.
Certainly big.
It kind of goes up there with Scarface. You know, you have that grand finale. That was a grand finale.
Yeah.
Like, they all have to die. They all have to go away.
I thought this was spoiler free, Doug.
Or not die. You know. That is
Don't
the
worry,
question.
guys. The whole cast does not die. You're
No,
okay.
no, they don't.
No
No,
spoilers
no,
here.
You know, the burning question though that I think I have for this film, and just for the whole thing, is, you know, I'm fully satisfied with Tony Scott's True Romance. Fully satisfied. But it's kind of interesting to think about what Tarantino's True Romance would be like. So,
Right. Yeah.
I think the pacing would have been better, in my opinion. Like, I think that that's something Tarantino really excels at. So I think some of my problems would have been absolved, but, you know.
Yeah.
But this was his fantasy romance. I mean, as a young guy coming in, like, this was his fantasy, and he wrote about it, and he exposed himself.
Yeah.
So that's...
All right, let's take a score. Quick note on scoring. We score on a 10 scale. 10 being the best, and among the four of us, the highest total score being 40 JuJuBeez, and based on our cumulative score, we'll make a recommendation. So, let's do it. Dougie.
You know what? I'm a big fan. I have a lot of respect and love for this film. I'm going to rate I got to give it a 10. I really do.
Karis.
I'm going to give it a 10.
Yeah, baby. Okay, the one I'm really interested in hearing, Ashley.
There we go.
You guys, I hate to be the downer here. I'm honestly like going between 2 and no. I'm going between 3 and 4. Honestly, I'm sorry, I can't. Like, I think I'm gonna land on 3. It has problems. Watching it in 2021.
Don't we all?
This is revenge for Shaun of the Dead. That's what this is.
That's what this is.
No, not
This is a generation gap.
I got
right
you.
now.
possibly. I can't watch this with blinders.
It's a 10 for me, so I guess that makes our total 33. And based on our cumulative score of 43, our recommendation for True Romance is Worth a Look on Some Lonely Rainy Nights. Ashley.
Right. So this film has a runtime of 2 hours. It is rated R for pretty much everything. Violence, profanity, alcohol and drug use, sex and nudity. And you can stream it on HBO Max, Vudu, Amazon Prime, YouTube, Google Play, and Apple TV.
That's a wrap.
Yeah.
Catch you later.
Doug Reiser, Karis Carter,
Thank you.
Ashley Mae King, JuJuBeez.
Big hugs.
Good one. See you next time.